How to outsmart anyone. 5 rules for total dominance. Without a word, look around this room for a moment. Every person you have ever met is fighting a battle you cannot see. Some fight with fear, some fight with pride, some fight with insecurity hidden behind loud voices and confident smiles. And every single day, whether they realize it or not, people are testing one another. They are measuring confidence, searching for weakness, watching reactions, trying to discover who can be influenced and who cannot. Most people believe dominance comes from speaking louder, arguing harder, proving themselves at every opportunity. They believe power is something you display. They believe respect is something you demand. But life teaches a different lesson. The strongest mountain never announces its height. The deepest ocean never argues about its depth. The brightest sunrise never asks permission to shine. Real power is never noisy. It is quiet. It is disciplined. It is impossible to manipulate. Today, I want you to understand something that can completely change the way you walk through this world. If people can predict your emotions, they can influence your decisions. If they can control your reactions, they can control your direction. But when they cannot read you, when they cannot provoke you, when they cannot shake your peace, they begin questioning themselves instead of questioning you. That is where true dominance begins. Not in defeating people, not in humiliating people, not in proving you are better, but in becoming someone who cannot be controlled. The first rule is simple. Protect your reactions like they are priceless treasures. People often reveal their intentions by the way they try to make you respond. Some criticize not because you deserve criticism, but because they want to see if they can disturb your confidence. Some insult you because they hope your anger will expose your weakness. Some ignore you because they want to know whether your self-worth depends on their attention. Do not give them the answer they are searching for. The person who stays calm while everyone else loses control immediately changes the balance of every conversation. Silence has a remarkable effect. It forces people to hear themselves. It forces them to wonder what you are thinking. It makes them question whether their strategy is working. Never underestimate the discomfort created by someone who refuses to react emotionally, because emotional control is psychological strength made visible. The second rule is this: become impossible to predict. Most people live in patterns. They always explain themselves. They always answer immediately. They always reveal their next move. They always seek approval before making decisions. Predictable people become easy to manipulate. Unexpected people become difficult to control. You do not need to announce your goals. You do not need to explain every decision. You do not need to convince everyone that your dreams are worthwhile. Sometimes the greatest advantage is allowing people to underestimate you. Let them think you are ordinary. Let them believe you are standing still. Meanwhile, keep building, keep learning, keep growing. One day the results will introduce you better than explanations ever could. Surprise has always been stronger than promises. Results have always been louder than opinions. The third rule is perhaps the hardest. Detect your value from other people's opinions. Listen carefully. Not everyone deserves access to your confidence. If you spend your life chasing approval, your happiness will always belong to someone else. The world changes every day. Opinions change every hour. People praise you today and criticize you tomorrow for the exact same reason. If your confidence rises and falls with every compliment and every insult, then your life becomes an emotional roller coaster, driven by strangers and yourself somewhere deeper. Know who you are before someone tells you who they think you should be. Know your purpose before the crowd offers extractions. Know your standards before temptation lowers them. A person who knows themselves becomes incredibly difficult to intimidate, because fear loses its influence over someone whose identity cannot be borrowed or stolen. Stand firm, stand quietly, stand consistently. There is tremendous strength in consistency. The fourth rule is to master the art of listening. Most people listen only long enough to prepare their next sentence. Very few people truly observe. Pay attention to what people repeat. Pay attention to what frustrates them. Pay attention to what they avoid discussing. Pay attention to how they treat those who cannot benefit them. Character leaves clues everywhere. Words can be rehearsed. Behavior cannot. The person who observes more than they speak learns what others never notice. Knowledge gathered through patience becomes wisdom. Wisdom applied with discipline becomes influence. Influence built on understanding lasts much longer than influence built on intimidation. Never rush to fill silence. Silence often encourages people to reveal far more than they intended. The quiet observer frequently walks away with answers everyone else missed. The fifth rule is the foundation beneath every other rule. Become so disciplined that your habits speak before your mouth ever opens. Confidence without discipline becomes arrogance. Talent without discipline becomes wasted potential. Dreams without discipline remain fantasies. Every morning gives you a choice. You can become slightly stronger, slightly wiser, slightly calmer, slightly more focused, or you can stay exactly where you are. People search for dramatic transformations while ignoring the extraordinary power of daily consistency. Victory is rarely created in one giant moment. It is created through thousands of invisible decisions that nobody applauds. Reading one more chapter, practicing one more hour, choosing patience over anger, choosing preparation over excuses, choosing growth over comfort. The world notices the trophy. Very few people appreciate the discipline that earned it. That is why disciplined people appear unstoppable, because they defeated themselves long before competing with anyone else. Remember this: the greatest opponent you will ever face is not standing across from you. It is the voice inside your own mind telling you to quit. It is the fear whispering that you are not enough. It is the comfort convincing you that tomorrow is a better day to begin. Outsmart that voice first. Defeat that enemy first. Win that battle first. Because once you master yourself, very little outside you has the power to defeat you. Too many people waste years trying to outplay everyone around them while completely ignoring the habits destroying them from within. The strongest person in any room is not always the smartest, not always the richest, not always the loudest. It is often the one who has learned patience, the one who has learned restraint, the one who has learned that every reaction has a price. Every unnecessary argument steals energy. Every pointless rivalry steals focus. Every desire to prove yourself steals peace. Stop paying those prices. Not every criticism deserves an answer. Not every challenge deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves space inside your mind. Protect your attention, because your attention becomes your future. Where your focus goes, your life follows. If you focus on revenge, bitterness grows. If you focus on distractions, mediocrity grows. If you focus on improvement, excellence grows. Your attention is your greatest investment. Spend it wisely. There will be moments when people misunderstand your silence. Let them. There will be moments when people mistake your patience for weakness. Let them. There will be moments when people celebrate too early because they think they have defeated you. Let them. The tree never argues with the seed that doubts its future. It simply keeps growing. Growth answers every accusation. Character answers every lie, answers every insult. Peace answers every attempt to provoke. Never interrupt your progress just to defend your reputation before people who already decided not to understand you. Time has a remarkable way of exposing truth. Those who build patiently often outlast those who perform loudly. Your greatest advantage is not intelligence alone. It is emotional discipline combined with consistent action. That combination cannot be copied overnight. It cannot be borrowed. It cannot be purchased. It must be earned. And once it is earned, it becomes part of who you are. Walk with quiet confidence. Speak with intention. Choose your battles carefully. Keep your promises to yourself. Respect others without surrendering your standards. Be kind without becoming easy to manipulate. Be humble without becoming invisible. Be confident without becoming arrogant. Every day, someone will try to convince you that your value depends on winning an argument. Do not believe it. Your value depends on your integrity, your discipline, your consistency, your character. These are victories no one can take from you. Imagine walking into every room knowing that no insult can steal your peace. No compliment can inflate your ego. No setback can destroy your determination. No delay can weaken your faith in your own journey. Imagine carrying that level of inner stability every single day. People would feel it before you ever spoke. Not because you demanded attention, but because calm confidence has a presence that noise can never imitate. That is the kind of strength the world cannot easily challenge. Not the strength that seeks applause. The strength that remains steady when no one is watching. The strength that chooses wisdom over impulse. The strength that refuses to surrender its peace for temporary satisfaction. When you become that person, something extraordinary happens. You stop trying to dominate people. Instead, you master yourself. And there is no greater victory than becoming someone whose mind cannot be manipulated, whose purpose cannot be distracted, whose confidence cannot be purchased, and whose peace cannot be stolen. That is the quiet strength that changes lives. That is the discipline that shapes destiny. That is the kind of power that never needs to announce its arrival, because everyone can feel it long before a single word is spoken. Become so deeply rooted within yourself that the opinions, pressures, and manipulations of other people begin to lose their power. There's a freedom that very few people ever experience. And it does not come from having more money, more influence, or more recognition. It comes from mastering the only person you will ever truly control yourself. The day you stop allowing your emotions to be directed by the behavior of others is the day you begin living with genuine strength. Until that moment, every compliment has the power to inflate you. Every insult has the power to diminish you. Every rejection has the power to discourage you. and every distraction has the power to steal your attention. That is not freedom. That is dependence disguised as confidence. Many people believe manipulation always looks obvious. They imagine lies threats or deception. But manipulation often arrives wearing a friendly smile. It appears in the form of guilt, false praise, emotional pressure, unnecessary urgency, and expectations that slowly pull you away from your values. It whispers that you should ignore your instincts just to keep everyone comfortable. It convinces you to sacrifice your peace so someone else never has to face disappointment. Little by little, without realizing it, you begin living according to someone else's expectations instead of your own convictions. The strongest defense against manipulation is not suspicion. It is self-mastery. When you know who you are, you stop looking to other people to tell you your worth. When you understand your principles, you stop changing them every time someone disagrees with you. When you have trained your emotions, you stop reacting to every opinion that crosses your path. Self-mastery creates an inner stability that cannot easily be shaken because it is built on discipline instead of approval. Ask yourself how many decisions you have made simply because you feared what someone else might think. How many dreams have been delayed because you waited for permission? How many opportunities disappear because doubt spoke louder than conviction? Every one of those moments teaches the same lesson. Fear grows wherever self-control is absent. Confidence grows wherever discipline is present. There will always be people who study your weaknesses. Some do it intentionally, while others do it without realizing it. They notice what makes you defensive. They notice what causes you to lose patience. They notice what earns your immediate attention. The more predictable your emotions become, the easier they are to influence. Every uncontrolled reaction becomes information that someone else can use. Every unnecessary explanation reveals another piece of your thinking. Every impulsive decision gives away your position before you are ready. Imagine becoming so composed that frustration no longer controls your words. Imagine hearing criticism without immediately feeling the need to defend yourself. Imagine receiving praise without allowing pride to cloud your judgment. Imagine facing rejection without questioning your value. That kind of emotional balance is not something people are born with. It is something they build through countless moments of choosing discipline over impulse. Self-mastery begins with awareness. You cannot improve what you refuse to examine. Pay attention to your habits. Observe the situations that repeatedly steal your peace. Notice the conversations that leave you emotionally exhausted. Watch how your mind responds when things do not go according to plan. Awareness is not weakness. It is the first step toward transformation, because what you understand you can eventually control. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that emotions should always be followed. Emotions are valuable signals, but they are unreliable leaders. They change with circumstances. They rise and fall throughout the day. If every decision depends on how you feel in the moment, your direction will constantly change. Discipline allows you to continue moving toward your purpose even when motivation disappears. That is why disciplined people often achieve what talented people never finish. There is enormous strength in learning to pause. Most conflict grows because someone reacts before thinking. A single moment of patience can prevent hours of regret. The person who pauses before speaking gains an advantage that anger can never provide. During that pause, wisdom has time to enter the conversation. During that pause, perspective replaces impulse. During that pause, you choose your response instead of allowing your emotions to choose it for you. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. Not every debate deserves participation. Not every criticism deserves a reply. One of the clearest signs of self-mastery is the ability to decide where your energy belongs. Your attention is limited. Every minute spent fighting meaningless battles is a minute stolen from meaningful progress. People who constantly chase every distraction often wonder why they never reach their destination. Your standards determine your future more than your circumstances. Standards shape your daily choices. They influence how you spend your mornings, how you speak to others, how you recover from setbacks, and how consistently you pursue growth. Raise your standards and your habits begin to change. Change your habits and your character becomes stronger. Strengthen your character and manipulation loses its influence because your decisions become rooted in principles instead of pressure. The world often rewards immediate gratification, but lasting success belongs to those who can delay pleasure for a greater purpose. Every time you choose learning instead of entertainment, preparation instead of procrastination, honesty instead of convenience, you strengthen the muscles of self-control. Those choices may appear small, but they slowly reshape your identity. One disciplined decision rarely changes your life overnight, yet thousands of disciplined decisions completely transform it. Silence is another form of strength that many people overlook. Silence gives you space to think before responding. It protects your plans while they are still developing. It prevents unnecessary conflict. It allows others to reveal more about themselves than they intended. Silence is not emptiness. It is intentional restraint. It is confidence that does not require constant validation. Many people confuse being agreeable with being kind. Kindness respects others without abandoning truth. Agreeableness often sacrifices truth to avoid discomfort. Self-mastery teaches you to remain respectful while still protecting your boundaries. You do not need to become harsh to become strong. You simply need to become clear about what you will and will not accept. Boundaries are not walls built to keep good people away. They are filters that protect your peace. Without boundaries, every demand becomes your responsibility. Every crisis becomes your emergency. Every expectation becomes your burden. Healthy boundaries remind you that caring for others does not require abandoning yourself. They allow generosity to exist without resentment. The people who manipulate most effectively usually depend on emotional urgency. They pressure you to decide immediately. They convince you that everything is an emergency. They make you feel guilty for taking time to think. Yet wisdom rarely grows in panic. The strongest decisions are usually made with clarity, patience, and careful reflection. Give yourself permission to pause before committing your time, your energy, or your trust. Your greatest competition has never been another person. It has always been the weaker version of yourself that prefers comfort over growth. Every morning presents a choice. Will you strengthen your discipline, or will you strengthen your excuses? Will you invest in your future, or will you continue postponing it? Those quiet decisions shape your destiny far more than dramatic moments ever could. Self-mastery also requires humility. The moment you believe you have nothing left to learn, growth begins to slow. Stay teachable, stay curious, listen more than you speak, learn from success without becoming arrogant, and learn from failure without becoming discouraged. Every experience contains a lesson for those willing to look honestly. Resilience grows whenever you refuse to let temporary setbacks become permanent identities. Failing at something does not make you a failure. Being rejected does not make you unworthy. Making a mistake does not define your future. Self-mastered people separate events from identity. They learn, adjust, improve, and continue moving forward without allowing disappointment to rewrite who they believe they are. There is remarkable confidence in consistency. People often search for secret formulas while ignoring simple daily practices. Wake up with intention. Keep your promises to yourself. Finish what you begin. Read clears throat, something that expands your thinking. Strengthen your body. Guard your mind from constant negativity. Speak honestly. Rest when necessary. Repeat those actions long enough, and your life begins reflecting the discipline you have quietly cultivated. Do not underestimate the influence of your environment. The voices you hear every day shape your perspective. The people around you influence your standards. The information you consume feeds your thinking. Choose carefully what enters your mind, because repeated exposure eventually becomes belief. Protect your attention as carefully as you protect your time. Comparison is another subtle form of manipulation. It convinces you that your value depends on outperforming someone else. It distracts you from your own journey. While you are watching another person's progress, you neglect your own. Self-mastery reminds you that your purpose is unique. Your timeline is different. Your growth deserves your full attention instead of constant comparison. Forgiveness is also an act of strength. Holding bitterness may feel powerful, but it quietly gives your past control over your present. Forgiveness does not excuse harmful behavior. It simply refuses to let someone else's actions continue directing your emotions. When you release resentment, you reclaim energy that can now be invested in building a better future. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting according to your values despite fear. Self-mastered individuals feel uncertainty, just like everyone else, but they refuse to let uncertainty become the decision maker. They move forward with preparation, wisdom, and faith in their ability to adapt. Your reputation may influence how people see you, but your character determines who you truly are. Reputation depends on public opinion. Character depends on private choices. Focus on strengthening your character, because it remains steady whether people applaud you or criticize you. A person with strong character cannot easily be manipulated because their identity is built from within rather than borrowed from the crowd. Every challenge you overcome strengthens your confidence. Every temptation you resist strengthens your discipline. Every difficult conversation you handle with maturity strengthens your wisdom. Growth rarely announces itself in dramatic ways. It happens quietly, one decision at a time, until one day you realize that situations which once controlled you no longer have the same power. There will be moments when people misunderstand your calmness. They may mistake patience for weakness or silence for uncertainty. Allow them to think what they choose. You do not need to interrupt your progress to correct every misunderstanding. Time has a remarkable way of revealing truth. Continue living according to your principles, and your actions will eventually speak more clearly than your explanations. When you become deeply grounded, manipulation begins to fail because it no longer finds unstable ground to stand on. Flattery loses its influence because you no longer depend on praise. Criticism loses its sting because your identity is not built on approval. Pressure loses its force because your decisions come from conviction instead of fear. Distractions lose their attraction because your purpose has become more compelling than temporary pleasure. Train your mind every day. Strengthen your habits every day. Protect your peace every day. Refine your character every day. Let each challenge become another opportunity to practice restraint, wisdom, patience, and courage. Over time, these quiet victories accumulate until your presence reflects a confidence that cannot be manufactured and a stability that cannot easily be shaken. People may still attempt to influence your emotions, question your choices, or redirect your attention, but they will discover something they did not expect. They will discover a person whose mind is disciplined, whose values are unwavering, whose purpose is clear, and whose inner strength has become greater than any attempt to control. Do it.